client will wire the money tonight.
What you have just witnessed is a typical illegal organ stealing and transfer. In this particular incident, a kidney was taken, meaning that the victim will live another day. But many other organs are stolen at higher cost to the victims.
Now you may think that such an issue would be in the public's constant attention. But in our survey, 42 out of 100 people were not aware of the issue, and of those, even less knew the extent of the problem. Only 10% knew that organ trafficking is actually a $1 billion a year industry, and only 13% knew that the trade directly affects at least 12,000 people a year and indirectly affects millions.
After the transfer, the organ will be carried by the middleman to an affluent person in need of an organ. Meanwhile, the victim, if the organ that was taken was vital, will be left to die. Most of the time, the stealing is done by various black market individuals, but in some parts, the stealing is actually done by the government. The most prominent example of this is in China, where the government kills prisoners specifically for the purpose of extracting their organs.
In China, organ transplant is government business. I mean, 95% of the 13,000 organ is come from executive prison.
A black market trade thrives in China as well, coexisting with the government programs, and they are less selective about their victims. In this clip, a young child is brutally victimized by the organ traffickers.
6-year-old Bin Bin went into the street near his house to play sometime before 6 p.m. An hour or two later, his mother called him inside, but he was nowhere to be found. A farmer found the young boy in a field hours later, covered in blood, his eye sockets empty. Police found the child's eyes nearby, the corneas had been removed. On the way to hospital, Bin Bin told his distraught father what he remembered. His story tells of a woman who drugged him before cutting his eyes out. She apparently said to him, don't cry, and I won't gouge out your eyes."
All around, the organ trade does not treat its victims well, even if the victim consents to the procedure in return for cash.
कस्तो न अब त्यस्तै अलि अप्ठ्यारै छ बिमारी नि भइहालिन्छ बिमारी नि हुन्छ
Depending on who the victim sells their organ to and which one they sell, they can get anywhere from $100 to about $4,000. However, the person who steals the organ can receive up to $200,000. This huge amount of money comes to the trafficker at little risk to himself. Meanwhile, the victim is left almost as poor as they were before the operation and with a compromised health.
The lucrative amounts that the organ trade brings in would seem enough to draw attention from governments not themselves involved in the trade to try and shut it down. But the worldwide need for organs is strong, and when a person needs an organ, they rarely consider where it comes from. As of 2010, one had to wait 10 years for an organ, and every day 18 people die waiting for an organ. In addition, there continues to this day various broker-friendly hospitals in the United States that will take organs from anyone without asking questions, as long as the organ is in good condition. Even the dead are not safe. Incidents have been reported of funeral home directors removing and selling organs from a corpse before beginning the embalming process. In all, the pressure is strong to get organs by any means possible. As long as the rich are willing to steal from the poor to live, the trade will continue.
Unless we come up with a solution. Since stopping this trade using legislation has been largely ineffective, it seems that the best way to stop it is to eliminate the need for the illegal organ trade in the first place. To do that, we would have to find a way to make organs 1. Cheap, and 2. Readily available, so that no one would need to resort to the expensive black market. Some of the world's brightest minds have already devoted time trying to find a solution, and it looks like there may already be one in the works. Combining stem cell research with the latest and greatest in 3D printing technology, scientists and doctors soon expect to be able to grow full organs outside the body for transplant into whoever needs one. Growing such organs would be cheap and speedy. Already they've been successful in growing ears and regenerating parts of damaged organs still in the body.
With organs being grown, the wait time for an organ will decrease from 10 years to a few days or even hours, and expenses will go down as well. Then with grown organs being cheaper, legal, readily available, and more reliable in the long run than stolen organs, the illegal organ trade will have no reason for existing, and would quickly dwindle into nothing.
But this won't happen on its own. We need you to donate money to stem cell research, or even go into that field, so that one day, organs can be easily grown. With this technology, millions of lives will be saved each year, and the horrible organ trafficking trade can finally draw to a close. With your help, this can happen.
You can end it!